Like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification because at Get Right Results, there aren't any excuses, just results.
So my name is Alysia Kelly. I was born in Poughkeepsie, New York. I grew up in Marlboro. I moved about 18 times in my life within the towns of Marlboro and Middle Hope. And so, yeah. And then I ended up actually moving up to Albany in 2020. Moved out on my own at 18 and was in pursuit of my bachelor's and master's degree in social work and a minor in psychology. I also interned doing community outreach, helping lower income and sorry, I'm having a brain fart. This is
No,
what I
you're
mean by
fine.
the nerves. I'm having, oh my gosh. We help at my internship, we help lower income communities get in touch with resources and connections throughout the capital region. They come in through different programs like DV shelters and homelessness and those types of aspects. And we help them kind of like rehabilitate and acclimate them back into the community. So that's the population that I work within, and it's something that I truly enjoy. So, yeah.
Now, do you see like students? How many individuals, like percentage-wise, if you can even come up with a percentage, that you deal with that is actually a college student?
Actually, a college student, I'd say it's pretty low. I'd say probably between like 15 and 20% of the
And then,
population.
and then during these times with like COVID, when some schools that were starting to shut down and go remote, do we know what happened to the students?
They actually, like, do you mean like the students within Albany?
Yeah, the students that you deal with, like that small percentage, like that 15 to 20%.
They actually ended up having to just kind of like uproot themselves and move wherever it was kind of feasible for them. I know a lot of people who had to go back to the city because they were either employed by the school or they had like a support system that COVID kind of like came in and like wrecked. So they no longer could qualify for certain scholarships. So some of them are back in the city, some of them are living in assisted, rental assisted buildings in Schenectady. So they're kind of like all pieces all over the place. I know a lot of people, a lot of my residents, they don't actually they're having like trouble getting even into the process of going to college because they're trying to find jobs and they're trying to put food on their tables, or some of them have children and daycares are full and they don't have childcare. So it's kind of like a different situation for everybody. But they're all like trying to piece it together. I have like a lot of people trying to apply for the fall. I have a lot of people who tried applying for last fall and couldn't because daycares were full and nobody was accepting anyone because of COVID. So they had to stay home with their child. They couldn't even go to work. So
it sounds like the anxiety levels are just intense.
oh yeah, 100%. We actually had to in one of my buildings, we actually had to implement it's a program. I can't say the name, but it's basically a therapeutic, like more of like a therapeutic geared program where we have like specific caseworkers, and they're assigned because of just like the stress levels and how everything was just so broken like after COVID. So everybody really did need that specific space to decompress and talk about like working on their goals, because they do need that coming out of like these homelessness and domestic violence shelters and aging foster care. Like those things are gonna have an impact on people after they get out.
And what made you get into this field?
Specifically, I knew I wanted to do social work when I was probably in 7th or 8th grade. Like, I remember everybody just asking me, like, oh, what do you want to do when you're older? And I didn't specifically say I wanted to do social work, because still that's not directly what I want to do. But I always said that I just want to help people. And I knew that because growing up, I had a very broken childhood, and moving so many times in my life, you can only imagine like the circumstances that me and my siblings were placed under. So I just knew how much um, I appreciated the help of the social workers who helped my family. Um, they came in and they were the only ones who listened to me and made my mom and my parents listen to me, and kind of put like the children back in the spotlight. And that was something that I always needed growing up in my family. So just knowing how much they can impact the family in a positive way was something that I just looked at and was like, I want to do that. I want to do that to other families. Um, that has changed a little bit though. I don't directly want to do social work. I don't want to be a caseworker. However, like going interning and shadowing at different places and learning so much about the healthcare and just the social work industry, like I've learned that a lot of the problems that you encounter face to face with social workers or healthcare workers really stems from the administrative standpoint. So I do want to go into healthcare administration. I haven't specifically said healthcare in a long time, but because I'm kind of like jumping back and forth, but I do want to go into the administrative role, whether it's at the top of the food chain in social work, in healthcare, somewhere in that realm, and kind of implement like new policies and stuff to fix what's broken.
You feel good about it?
I do. I there's times when I don't, because going through grad school is not easy, and people are always talking to you and you're always networking, being in this field. So it tends to want to sway what my interests and what I want to do. But overall, like I've said that I wanted to do this for years. So I do feel good.
Great.
And it's obviously clear that, this is, you're really passionate about this, but what other passions do you have outside of just the social work?
Fitness. Fitness is definitely my number one passion. I have realized a long time ago, I was wondering why fitness was such a passion of mine. And I think it's just because it includes helping people and then it includes something that I love. So it's kind of like merging the two. Really fitness overall, not just for myself, but I love spreading awareness on just your overall health and wellness. Because I realized what a true impact that can have on your life and how you can do a complete 180 just focusing on yourself, and focusing on your health and fitness makes you put yourself first. So that is definitely a huge passion of mine.
And then with the social work and all of your passions, what are some of your goals for moving forward?
My goals moving forward, I would definitely say that in the end game, this will always be one of my goals. I do want to open up my own gym at some point, whether it's a CrossFit gym, bodybuilding gym, a mixture of both. That's definitely been a passion of mine and a goal of mine for a while. And then also another goal would be to go into healthcare administration and to be the one that implements new policies. So those are my kind of career goals. Fitness goals wise, I do want to increase my following, to spread more awareness and to really get my message and my mission statement basically out there and heard. And yeah.
A biggest accomplishment?
It would definitely have to be just moving out at 18 and just being able to create a structured and stable life for myself. in the pandemic, in the middle of the pandemic.
And how has that major step like affected just your everyday life? Like, you know, what did moving out, you know, bring to you?
Sanity. Moving out definitely brought me a chance to start over, something that I haven't had in my life. And uprooting myself and changing locations could have been the best thing to ever happen to me, because I was able to create my own routine and thrive off of that routine. And I was really able to just, sounds cliche, but I was just able to like find myself and figure out like my interests and what I actually wanted to do in school, and if what I was doing in school actually really piqued my interest, or if I even like working with people. And like these are things that I continuously asked myself when I was living back in Marlboro, and I couldn't ever answer them. But moving to Albany, it kind of felt like a lifted weight off my shoulders. Like I was finally able to answer my own questions. Sounds a little corny, but it's very true. And the pandemic definitely put a damper on things with finding a job. And you know, I was working 3 jobs and working out, and that was basically my day for 6 to 7 months living on my own. Was just working from job to job and trying to fit something that I love to do in. So the pandemic did not make it easy.
And then what is a biggest failure?
Biggest failure. I'd say I really wouldn't say I've ever had a biggest failure, because I don't really view things as a failure. But I would say not knowing what I'm capable of sooner, because within this past year and a half, just being in my school, with the help of my school and the structure of my school, I'm able to implement such change at my internship, and just in general. The classes that I've taken have really pushed my limits on like what I can learn and what I can do in communities, and how I can be like an active role in the community. And I just wish I knew what I was capable of sooner.
And just knowing who you are, I always knew Alysia could do it. Especially when it came to school, I'd always be like, Alysia, please help me with this essay.
I know.
So with all of your experiences so far, what is some advice that you would tell your younger self?
Oh gosh. I would say that life really isn't about, I don't know. I would say life isn't really about like impressing anybody else really around you. It's not really like having to, you know your audience and pay attention to who's watching. It's really just doing what truly makes you happy in the end. Just, you know, getting from point A to point B, and how do you get there?
Some good advice. And then what about, you know, with your childhood growing up, what is some advice that you would tell, whether it be your younger self or another child in a similar position as you? What is some advice you would tell them to help them get through that?
There really isn't anything that I could say to help a child get through that. But I would just tell them that everything will be okay. There's light at the end of the tunnel. That's what my mom told me practically every day. Used to write notes in my lunchbox, like, everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. And like, I was, you know, it's been years, and I'm like, when is everything gonna be okay? And everything is okay. So everything will be okay.
Yeah, it takes a while for, you know, our childish mindset to where, you know, we know it all, our life's terrible. And then, you know, I saw it personally for myself that, like, you know, I would say once senior year was over and we got into college, you realize, like, no, your parents, you know, they did know a little bit what they were talking about. Like, that's when you kind of switch that mindset of like, maybe my parents, you know, did try to guide me the best that they could.
Maybe they knew what they were talking about, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
What's the biggest lesson that you've learned?
Gosh, biggest lesson. Biggest lesson? I literally would just say that like every setback has a comeback, every single setback. Every time that something has ever gone wrong, you have the ability to make something of it. You know, you don't just have to sit down on the floor and just, you know, cry victim. You can get back up and you can turn it around.
Wow, that's great advice. And you know, so that's a really big lesson learned. No, that was great. I think a lot of people, especially, you know, during the times right now, would benefit from hearing that.
Yeah, nobody knows that anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to stay down. That's where they're comfortable, you know, but you gotta bring yourself out of it. You're the only person who can. So
I think it's instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
That's what everybody craves.
So diving into a little bit of the community, what problems, whether that be, you know, back home or where you currently are at, what problems do you see within the community?
Specifically in Albany, living up here for a year and a half now, I'd say a main problem would definitely be gun and gang violence. I know a lot of small businesses and big businesses and parts of the city have actually been closed off and have had to close down because of gun and gang violence. So I know a lot of the community suffering from that. I also know that even though I'm not in grade school, I go to school and we talk about how unstructured the education system is in Albany. So those are definitely two prominent issues that the community is facing right now. Yeah, I would say those are like the two biggest issues.
And how do you think, like, as a community, we can come together to, you know, try to either, you know, raise some awareness or help, you know, decrease the amount of crime and put a structured school system in?
I would say I definitely just gatherings. I know the times that Albany has had to come together for other reasons. Positive things came from that, and I think that this issue is just kind of tiptoed around because nobody knows how to directly change it or fix it, and nobody understands that there isn't going to be a fix, but by spreading awareness and gathering together, whether it be for a specific reason or maybe like a march or going to downtown where those places are closed off and quietly, you know, not protesting, but, you know, trying to do things in the community to spread awareness to how these things are affecting all the other people who live in Albany. I mean, you think about it, I was talking to this one of my regulars at the bar, and he told me all of these spots and all of these stories of these bars and these restaurants that he used to go to with his family, and these things that he used to do, and how they have all closed, and how they've all just times have changed so much because of the gang violence in Albany. And he just said, like, at the end, like, what a shame. He was like, because it would be nice to walk past and, you know, remember the things that happened there. And there's people like that all over Albany, who, you know, it's not just in downtown Albany. It's really just up here where it's, you know, the police system is a little is under pressure because of everything that happened over the summer, with the protests and the storming of the police station downtown. So I feel like everybody feels like their hands are tied, and as a community, everybody is kind of being bystanders right now. I feel like we could all just stand up and do a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what is some generalized kind of generalized advice to the community?
To the community, I just want to tell everyone to get up and get moving, whether that be fitness related or towards their goals, or people are so complacent with where they are in life, and I feel like everybody can just have more, and nobody thinks that they can have more. And I mean more in every aspect of life. More wealth, more health, more I'm gonna say this, more love, really. Everyone is just okay with having enough, but there's never enough.
Wow, that's powerful, this statement. You've been saying a lot of things here. Like what I heard, we actually interviewed another young lady, and right away, she said, just like you said, right away, I don't look at any like failures. Like I haven't failed in anything. What's I failed? Wow.
Because I mean, what's defined as a failure? There's really no definitive meaning for failure to me, because I've come back from everything. It's like, yeah, I was down, but would we consider that a failure? I don't think so. So I guess it's just a matter of perspective. Some people have had those life circumstances to alter that perspective, and some people just haven't. I don't know. My mom kind of engraved that in me at a very young age. She's like, I would do something and I would have like that failure mindset, and she'd be like, what are you doing? She's like, that's not what we do around here. So
what goals do you have in the next 5 years? What does your life look like in 5 years from now?
I told myself that I wanted to build like a 5-year plan, after school and all of that. But my goal right now is to get through school. I will tell you my goals that I had prior to this mindset, but I am going into my last year of grad school in May. So I graduate next May with my master's in social work. Following that, I really do just want to get my foot in the door within the healthcare system, in some type of administrative role. I would also like to be doing that, working simultaneously, saving, putting away money, and doing like the whole adulting thing, and hopefully at some point, I don't know, maybe in the near future, opening up my own gym. Those are like my career goals. That's kind of what I've been thinking of for, I'd say, like the last 2 years now. So, but I have no expectations. So I think I've adapted more of the, whatever happens mindset. So I know good opportunity, like even in the last 2 years, like I've said, like, oh, I have a plan. This is what's going to happen. And then good opportunities arise. And I'm just like, whatever happens. So, yeah.
What does your gym look like? And what's the name of it?
My gym. So I actually wanted to create like I created a website a while ago, and it was called Wait For It. And wait was spelled like the wait. So that would be the name of my gym. But I also I've actually worked in 3 different gyms in the last 2.5 years. I've been a part of the CrossFit community, the bodybuilding community, the powerlifting community. I've made friends and I've networked like across all different types of fitness, yoga, Pilates, Zumba, just all the so many different types of movements, like I see gyms trying to bring that together, and it just simply doesn't work. And it's because there's just such polar differences between the two. And the gym that I work at right now, it's more of a powerlifting and bodybuilding gym. So I've kind of took note of that, and I've just kind of been brainstorming. My gym would typically be a gym that serves everybody. I don't want there to be you guys over here and we're over here, and because I know a lot of people who there's like a lot of stigma around CrossFit, and it's like, because CrossFit is such I'd say it's a very isolated type of fitness, because, you know, we're at our own gym. We're not with other people who work out. And like, if you want to do CrossFit, you have to pay more money, and it's a cult, and like all these like negative perceptions of CrossFit. But there's really, and then there's also negative, you know, perceptions of bodybuilders, and like how they have big heads and they do these things in the gym and they work off machinery. And like, I just don't like any of that. I don't like any of that. We're all in here, we're all doing fitness for one reason. And that would kind of be like how my gym would be, basically. I don't like the negative perceptions and the stigma, and, oh, I'm scared to start working out, and I don't know what to do when I first start working out, and, you know, all these things that people are like worried about. And it's like, just get in and get moving, you know, just do something that you enjoy. Try bodybuilding, try CrossFit, but there's no harm in not powerlifting and bodybuilding. There's no harm in, you know, doing CrossFit and, you know, also working, you know, hypertrophy lifting. And like, there's just too many opinions in the fitness industry, and I just want a gym with no opinions. If that makes sense.
Oh, I love it. And I love the name. Wait for it.
Yeah. I don't know when I came up with that, but it just kind of stuck a little bit, and I was like, oh, kind of like it. It has a little ring
I
to
do
it.
like it.